14-year-old Noor was the quiet one. At school, everyone knew her as the girl who sat in the back, her sketchbook her only real friend. But inside, her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, feelings, and stories, a universe of color and emotion that she never let anyone see. She loved drawing, pouring all her unspoken words onto the page, but she was desperately, painfully shy. One evening, as the sky turned a deep shade of twilight purple, Noor was walking home. Her route took her past a row of old, forgotten shops, their windows dusty and dark. But tonight, something was different. A faint, almost musical whisper seemed to call to her from the shadows of an abandoned storefront. It was barely audible, like a secret carried on the breeze. Curiosity, a feeling she rarely acted on, pulled her closer. The whisper grew a little stronger, beckoning her. She pushed open the creaky door, a bell above it giving a lonely, rusted jingle. The air inside was thick with the scent of old wood and dust. In the center of the room, sitting on a dilapidated counter, was a small wooden box. It wasn't dusty like everything else. Instead, it seemed to hum with a soft, warm light that pulsed gently like a sleeping heart. Noor crept closer, her own heart thumping against her ribs. Carved into the lid were a few elegant words. "Here lie the voices that were never heard." Her fingers trembled as she reached out and lifted the lid. The moment it opened, a cascade of tiny glowing lights floated out. They weren't sparks or fireflies. They were like miniature, transparent butterflies, shimmering with an ethereal glow and humming with a soft, melodic energy. They danced around her, swirling in the dusty air. Then one of them drifted close to her ear and whispered in a voice that was impossibly, undeniably her own. "We are the words you never spoke." Noor froze, her breath caught in her throat. The butterfly of light pulsed, and she heard it again, a clear echo of a thought she'd had just last week. "You wanted to tell your friend you loved her drawing, but you stayed silent." Another light butterfly floated forward, its glow intensifying. A different memory surfaced, sharp and painful. You wanted to stand up for yourself when they laughed at your shoes, but you didn't. Another followed, then another. You wanted to ask that question in class, but you were too afraid. You wanted to say you were sorry, but the words got stuck. Each light was a moment of silence, a feeling swallowed, a thought unshared. An entire swarm of her own lost opportunities now circled her, whispering of her fears and regrets. It was overwhelming. Tears welled in her eyes as the weight of all her unspoken words pressed down on her. "What do you want from me?" she finally managed to choke out, her voice barely a whisper itself. In unison, the glowing butterflies chimed, their collective voice a soft, urgent harmony. "Release us. Bring us back to the world." The voices explained their purpose. Each butterfly was a piece of her, a fragment of her spirit trapped in silence. They weren't ghosts of the past to be exorcised. They were parts of her present, waiting to be integrated. To free them, she couldn't go back in time. She had to act now. She had to find the courage to speak, to express the thoughts and feelings she was having today. The mission was simple, yet for Noor, it was the most terrifying thing she could imagine. She had to use her voice. That night, back in the safety of her bedroom, she took the first step. The box sat on her desk, glowing softly, the butterflies inside swirling with anticipation. She stood in front of her mirror, looking at her own reflection, at the girl who was so good at disappearing. She took a deep breath and spoke to herself, her voice shaky at first. I think my drawings are good." As she said the words, one of the butterflies flew out of the box and zipped straight into her chest, dissolving into a warm glow in her heart. She felt a flicker of strength. She tried again, thinking of her friend. "I love your art style, Maya. It's so unique." Another butterfly returned to her. "That joke wasn't funny, it was mean." A third one followed. With every sentence she spoke aloud, every truth she finally gave voice to, another piece of her soul came home. She wasn't just releasing them, she was reclaiming herself. The next day at school felt different. Noor walked through the halls with a new, quiet purpose. She saw her friend Maya sketching in her notebook. Instead of just walking past, she stopped. She pulled out a drawing she'd made of a fantasy landscape, something she'd always been too shy to show anyone. "Hi Maya," she said, her voice a little unsteady. I made this for you. I've wanted to give it to you for a long time. I really admire your work." Maya's eyes widened, first in surprise and then in a brilliant smile. "Noor, this is incredible. Thank you." At that moment, Noor felt a familiar warmth spread through her chest. Another butterfly had come home. Later in the cafeteria, a boy from her class made a mocking comment about her quietness. The old Noor would have shrunk, her face burning, wishing she could vanish. But today, something was different. She looked him straight in the eye, her voice calm and clear. "That's not kind. Please, stop." The boy was so taken aback he just stammered and walked away. The other kids at the table looked at her with a newfound respect. In class, when the teacher asked a question no one could answer, Noor felt the familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. But then she felt the warmth of the voices she'd reclaimed. She knew the answer. Slowly she raised her hand. When the teacher called on her, she spoke with a confidence that surprised even herself. With every act of courage, every word spoken, more and more butterflies returned, until her heart felt full and bright. That evening, she went back to the abandoned shop, the empty wooden box in her hands. As she approached, she saw the box in her hands begin to glow, brighter and brighter, until it was almost blinding. Then, just as quickly, the light faded, and the wood seemed to age centuries in a second, turning into a simple, non-magical object. Its purpose was complete. She looked up at the shop, but it was gone. Not boarded up, not demolished, but simply gone, as if it had never been there at all. In its place, on the pavement where the doorway once stood, lay a single small piece of polished wood. She picked it up. Carved into it was a final message. Every voice you never used comes back when you're brave enough to speak it. Noor smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached her eyes. She clutched the piece of wood and walked away, not into the shadows, but into the warm glow of the streetlights. The girl who once feared her own voice now heard it loud and clear, and she knew she would never be silent again. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire. See you next time.